To create a join in SQL, there are some rules and syntax that must be followed. First, you have to make sure that both tables have a relationship between each other, hence a relational database. For example, if I want to join departments table together with the employees table, I have to make sure that there is a column in the departments table that correlates to a column in the employees table. In the departments table, I have a department ID, and in employees table, I also have a department ID. So right there, I know I can join those two tables together using the department's ID column. The data that's in the department's ID in the department's table is the same data in the department's ID in the employees table. The department's ID in the department's table is the primary key, and the department's ID in the employees table is the foreign key. Now, I also have a manager ID in the employees table and a manager ID in the department's table. However, it is always recommended when you are joining tables, use the primary key and the foreign key. I want to print some information from the employees table and from the departments table. The query to do that will be select, and I'm going to say e dot last name, because I want to print the last name column in the employees table. When joining two or more tables, you need to qualify the names of the columns with the table name to avoid ambiguity. So without the alias, it will be hard to distinguish which column is from which table. For example, I have a job history table, which have a job ID. I have a jobs table that have a job ID as well. And I also have a job ID in the employees table. So the job ID in the jobs table will be my primary key, and in the job history and in the employees table, that will be my foreign key. So how will SQL developer knows which table I'm trying to grab the job ID from to create the join? I want to pull the last name column from the employees table, and E will represent the employees table. Now, you can name your alias any name you want. Preferably, I like to name my alias the first letter of the table name. So I'm going to say E dot last name. And I also want to grab the salary column from the employees table as well. So I'm going to say E dot salary. So these are the columns that I need from the employees table. Now I'm going to join the departments table, and I want to print the department name in this query. So I'm going to use D as my alias name, which represent departments. So I'm going to say D dot, and I want to print the department names. It is recommended that when listing columns from a specific table, you do it in order. It's not readable if we move salary to this side of the query. So that means that we print in from the employees table, then it will go to departments table, then it will come back to the employees table. It's not recommended to do that. It's always recommended to list the tables in order. Now that I have all of the tables that I want to print from the query, I'm going to tell SQL developer where to get this data from. So I'm going to say from employees E. You have to specify which alias is associated with which table. So I'm telling SQL E is associated with the employees table. Then I'm going to use the join keyword. You must use the join keyword if you want to join two tables together. So I want to join the departments table, so I'm going to say join departments, and I want SQL developer to associate D with the departments table. Now you have to tell SQL developer which column do you want to use to join the two tables. In this example, we're going to explicitly say to SQL developer which column we want to join and not choose the column first automatically, because SQL developer can choose the column for you if you use natural join. but this time we want to choose the column ourselves. There are two ways you can tell SQL developer which column you want to use. You can use either the on clause or the using clause. Now, there are some differences when using the on clause versus the using clause. The on clause can join columns with different names, whereas the using clause requires that the columns have the same name in both tables. The syntax will be different for using the on clause and the using clause. First, let's use the using clause. So I can say join department D using, with the using clause, you just specify in the parameter which column you want to use. So I can say department ID to create the join. Now, if we look at the results, we got back our last name column from the employees table, salary from the employees table. If we look in the employees table, we do not have a department name. The department name is in the departments table. So here it prints the department name for us from the departments table. Now, if I want to join the table using the on clause, the syntax will be different. I'm going to delete the using statement and I'm going to say on, and I have to use the alias in order for me to join the tables using the on clause. So I'm going to say e dot department ID, and I have to use the equal sign. So I'm going to say equals to d dot department ID. Now, when I use the equal sign, it is called an equal join. I'm going to run the query. If we look at the results, we still get back the same information as we did when we used the using clause.